As essential oils gain greater acceptance for their therapeutic value in daily life, a growing number of people are expressing concern about the purity and quality of the essential oils available on the market. Until recently, essential oils have primarily been used in industry for cosmetics, for perfumes, detergents, and for flavoring. They were not available for the private use of customers. Their use as raw material for fragrancing and the need to reduce costs have compelled many manufacturers as well as exporters to dilute or adulterate essential oils. The lack of reliable information regarding the origin and purity of essential oils lead to an uncertainty in the market. A rapidly growing number of people, motivated by their research for alternative medicine and pure aromatherapy, are being introduced to essential oils for the first time. Some do not yet have the ability to determine quality. In order to reduce expenses, the perfume and cosmetic industry has synthesized many of the chemical substances from petrochemical derivatives, which reproduce the fragrances but not the medicinal effects found in natural essential oils. Because they isolate only the chemically active ingredients of the plant, these synthetic substances only produce a chemical effect, whereas the pure essential oil is an expression of the whole plant and, as one would expect, produces a synergistic holistic effect. Ideally, essential oils for therapeutic application should stem from chemical-free, unpolluted areas of cultivation, from certified organic, traditional, wild-crafted plants. We feel that this is the way true aromatherapy should be dealt with, so that the customer receives the optimum benefit from his choice. For the sake of transparency, and in order to facilitate the identification and aromatherapeutic usage, essential oils should be defined with regards to their exact botanical name, the country of origin, the part of the plant used for distillation, the mode of cultivation, and major, of course, biochemical compounds. Essential oils should not be denaturated, adulterated, or mixed with other oils. The careful selection of suppliers, if possible through direct sourcing and continued laboratory testing, guarantees that essential oils are 100% pure. A good aromatherapy company has no other choice than to build a close relationship with producers in many countries who cultivate healing plants organically. As a result, such company can offer an extensive resource of a rich variety of untreated essential oils. For all therapeutically used essential oils and blends, there should be a minimum of guarantees. For example, apart from the so-called absolutes, which are derived by solvent extraction, and the cold-pressed citrus oils, the essential oils should be derived by low or medium pressure steam distillation, without use of chemical solvents. They should be unadulterated, 100% pure natural products. No chemical additives, no diluting with alcohol or thinning with other essential oils should occur. And they should not be peroxidized, decolorized, nor deterpenated. The chemical profile or chemotype of the essential oil's major active substances should be indicated, along with the plant part, cultivation method, and biological name. Careful testing for purity using capillary gas chromatography and mass spectrography should be practiced regularly. It may be a surprise to believe that 1 milliliter of Turkish royal oil costs as much as 100 milliliter of orange oil. There are many variables that are responsible for this price discrepancy. Of course, the prime factor is the yield of an essential oil in different plants. Also, the cultivation methods, harvesting methods, as well as other different methods for deriving the essential oils, require different amounts of time, of effort, and of costs. For example, throughout time, many essential oils like Indian spikenard or jatamansi have only been available to very few people. It was considered so powerful and precious that it was used in older times for the anointment of kings and priests. Those oils were equal in value to gold because they were so expensive to distill and difficult to transport. Even today, for example, 10,000 kilos of lemon balm plants are needed to distill 1 kilo of pure lemon balm oil. By comparison, only 30 kilos of eucalyptus leaves are needed to make 1 kilo of eucalyptus oil. One of the most expensive oils, rose, requires 2,000 to 4,000 kilos of rose petals to derive 1 kilo of essential oil, and these petals have all been hand-picked. Farmers know each plant has a specific amount of essential oil as an energy reservoir that it uses to metabolize and adapt to certain weather conditions. For example, the lack of sun reduces the amount of essential oils that will be distilled from the plant. Harvest may vary each year according to the weather conditions of the soil conditions and the distillation process used. Every plant which contains essential oils will not necessarily be distillable through steam distillation because the profit would be too little. The jasmine plant is one example. The oil of it can only be extracted through a complicated procedure involving solvents. This process creates an oil which is called absolute. The origin of the oil can provide important information about its quality. There is no relationship between the Atlas cedar, for example, from Morocco, and the Texas cedar from America. The Texas cedar usually is sold actually as a juniper. Names and terminologies can often be confusing. In Europe, the American cedar leaf oil is called tuya and has nothing to do with the true cedar oil. Sage from Spain is not the same as Salvia officinalis, the true sage, but is really Salvia lavandulifolia, which is quite distinct in its chemotype and has therefore a different fragrance as well. Marjoram from Spain, also called wild marjoram, is actually a special kind of thyme with the botanical name Thymus mastihina, and it is not the same as the garden marjoram, the Marjorana hortensis, from France or from Egypt. Spanish lavender oils are usually the wild-growing spike lavenders containing cineol and camphor, and not the same they are as the French lavender, the Lavandula officinalis, which contains more esters. The botanical name tells the truth. Many essential oils like rosemary, like basil, lavender, thyme, sage, eucalyptus, etc., they have all subspecies, which often exhibit very different fragrances and effects. For example, Eucalyptus dive or peppermint eucalyptus, a subspecies of eucalyptus, has a less intense fragrance of eucalyptus than niauli or cajuput. Niauli with linalool, a subspecies of linalool, is more reminiscent of rosewood or hoe oil than niauli with cineol, as it is usually known. Only an expert or a good nose is able to distinguish the fragrance of the thyme, the chemotype geraniol, from thyme alpha-terpineol or thionol 4. Standardized essential oils for the industrial use cannot withstand the scrutiny of a trained aromatologist. Usually, they will not appear in price lists under a specific botanical name. The reason for this is that those oils are produced either from different specific lesser value, from mixed crops, or from the addition of synthetic components. To obtain a specific reproducible note of fragrance or active substance remains the major target of such approaches. The more exact the description of the essential oil is, the less risky it is for the buyer to purchase an unwanted product. A company which can well inform the customer about its oils shows that it is better connected to the plant source, and therefore the chances of adulteration are minimized. One of the best methods for the production of essential oils is cold pressing, which unfortunately can only be used for the citrus oils. Almost all other oils are produced by water steam distillation. Unfortunately, the distiller is often more concerned with profit than with the correct treatment of the plants. High steam pressure and quick distillation are more efficient, but rarely create a fine and precious product. This is with organic farmers. They distill their plants very carefully with the slower methods of low-pressure steam distillation. Many plants require a longer time to distill in order to extract the entire spectrum, from head to tail, so to say, the entire spectrum of active substances contained in the essential oil. This is the case, for example, to obtain the biochemical compounds of sesquiterpenes. The slow and low pressure methods yield a richer, therapeutically more effective essential oil. Very often questionable techniques are also used to extract essential oils, like the dangerous extraction of black birch or cedar oils through burning the wood. Other methods, like the use of poisonous chemical solvents, methylchlorine for example, bring excellent volume, but there is a danger that carcinogenic substances or chemical poisons leach into the oil. Fortunately, the use of benzene for the production of aromatic absolutes has been banned years ago by the aroma industry. Other methods are vacuum distillation or molecular distillation. These methods are used to reduce the pressure and also to extract specific aromatic compounds. They enable certain fragrances to be selectively emphasized in the end product. Hydrodiffusion is another variation of steam distillation. The steam is injected from the top of the still instead of being introduced from the bottom. The distillation time is shorter and the process allows for a better penetration of the steam into the plant material. Hydrodiffused essential oils tend to have a slightly subtler note. And then the CO2 extraction uses liquid carbon dioxide, for example, to extract the aromatic substances from the plants. This method allows a gentle treatment of the plant because the oil can be extracted at temperatures of about 30 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. In many cases, the end result is a very subtle, round aroma. Also, cultivation and location of the plants is another important factor when we speak of quality and purity. An important factor, as we saw already, is the method of cultivation. Originally, essential oils were extracted only from wild-growing plants, and these were distinguishable by their subtle and at the same time full aroma, which even a layman could easily recognize. To purposely create the finest aromas, farmers today, for example, grow seedlings of lavender plants from different subspecies collected in wild nature together in one field. This is the so-called population lavender, or what we call highland lavender. However, there always will remain specific elements which distinguish a pure essential oil from another. And these elements can be environment, of course the cultivation methods, as we said, the harvesting methods, the distillation methods, the storage, different aspects altogether. As to the subject of adulteration, the most common methods of adulterating essential oils are the following: blending the oil with the vegetable carrier oil or alcohol, or with synthetic oils, which are cheaper. An example is vanilla absolute or benzoin absolute, or cheaper oils of the same plant but from another country, and put them together. Bourbon geranium with Egyptian geranium, for example, or Moroccan myrtle with myrtle from the Balkans, Siberian fir with Chinese fir, etc. Or another method, blending the oil with cheaper essential oils of the same plant, but extracted from a different part of the plant. For example, clove bud with the oil from clove leaves, or cinnamon bark oil with cinnamon leaf oil, or angelica root oil with angelica leaf oil. Another method also, blending the oil with cheaper essential oils of plants of the same species or of the same name. Example, East Indian sandalwood with West Indian sandalwood, the so-called amiras, which is of course no genuine sandalwood. Or thyme with wild thyme, lavender oil with lavandine, Ceylon cinnamon with cassia cinnamon, and so forth. Or also blending the oil with cheaper essential oils of different plants. Example, lemongrass to blend with lychea, or patchouli blend with eucalyptus, or verbena with lemongrass, or frankincense with turpentine, mandarin, of course, with orange, and so on. And also blending the oil with isolated synthetic fragrances, which often is the case. Example, lemon oil with citral and orange terpenes, or peppermint oil blended with menthol. So what can we do to recognize a good essential oil? The experienced aromatherapist has refined his intuition and sense of smell so that he can recognize the quality, subspecies, and even the origin of an oil simply by smelling it. But also the untrained nose can recognize differences between pure essential oils and adulterations. For that, color, depth, and bouquet of an aroma are important. Pure essential oils are naturally more expensive than blends or imitations. If the oils are relatively inexpensive compared to the same oils from a reputable manufacturer, then probably they are blends or substitutes, like the examples we mentioned before. The experienced buyer of essential oils, however, has more objective methods of quality control than simply the sense of smell. These are scientific methods, like testing the optical rotation, or the density, the refractive index, the solubility, or more expensive methods like capillary gas chromatography, mass spectrography, ultrasound also. These methods determine the exact chemical components of the oil. The so-called carbon-13 method in isotopical analysis enables nearly 100% accuracy of the synthetic compounds in an essential oil based on the carbon-13 isotope in nature. Unfortunately, the famous gas chromatogram of an essential oil does not always show all possible additives. We would need a special analysis using another phase in the GC called chiral or enantiomeric, which enables us to bring to light the always racemic behavior of the synthetic compounds. In conclusion, standard laboratory controls are important and valuable, but do not always tell the whole story. They have to be followed with periodic, more sophisticated inspections. As to the organic issue, which is specifically important for aromatherapy, and in order to ensure purity and high quality of an essential oil, the buyer should keep these points in mind. Where are the plants cultivated? For example, if they are wild, it is important to know if they grow in a remote mountain region or close to a highway, for example. Then, who is cultivating and harvesting the plants? Are they organically grown by a farmer who is under the control of a farming union or third-party institute? Do they come from a third world country where no pesticides are used, or from a wholesaler who only has a profit in his mind? One must be prepared to invest time and money in locating his suppliers, for buying only at one wholesaler may not always result in a line of high-quality products. One will need a well-equipped storehouse also of thousands of samples, many international contacts to manufacturers, and language skills also to travel around and talk with the producers. Aromatherapy and healthcare companies should work with those suppliers who are looking for the highest quality. These companies necessarily have established strong ties with producers of medicinal plants around the world who have demonstrated a deep love of plants and respect for nature. They like to work with everyone from grower to consumer to transform the whole marketplace into one that is ecologically and environmentally healthy and happy. Good aromatherapy companies take pride in an ecological ethics and want more than just to sell the product. They usually have their own strategies of sourcing their products, practice contract cultivation with the organic farmers, and point out to the conventional farmers of essential oils the advantages of organic farming. Their primary goal is to provide a broad variety of clean, chemically free essential oils to the increasing number of private and professional users by encouraging natural farming methods and thereby create healthier plants and therapeutically more effective essential oils free of chemical adulterations. Chemical products used for plant protection are very often plant inhibitors and produce toxins which can result in subtle changes down to the gene structure within the plant, giving rise to devitalized plants with a weakened defense system. It becomes more and more evident today that the use of chemical treatment in the farming of medicinal plants not only can reduce significantly the number of years that a perennial plant like lavender will survive, but contradicts the very purpose of committing oneself to nature and health. While the use of these chemicals does produce larger plants and greater yields in the short run, one has to look at the overall costs which the soil and the plant have to pay, and in the end, also the human beings. The so-called sensitive crystallization of Pfeiffer, the Kirlian photography, or the biophotonic measurement of Dr. Pop and other subtle energy methods allow today to distinguish between plant extracts with lower or higher energy. In the future, these and other methods will provide rich comparative data and simplified criteria for the end user to distinguish between essential oils from medicinal plants which are true medicine and therefore therapeutic and those which are not. In conclusion, we can say the research for purity and ecology in the area of essential oils aromatherapy is a task which needs energy and commitment. I am personally convinced that this is the way through which aromatherapy will find its safe place in the growing consciousness for nature and its immense healing powers for many generations to come.